everybody, Mike Reese here. I'm doing a martial arts chat. It's Wednesday, so here we go. We're going to stay on the schedule as best I can. It's kind of late in the evening, so if it looks a little darker, I apologize. I'll lighten it. I try to see what I can do with it. But for right now, I just want to talk about having self-reliance when it comes to your journey in martial arts. I didn't really know exactly what I was going to talk about, and because there's so many aspects of martial arts that you can talk about and kind of get into, because everything seems to have a controversial issue anymore. You know, what's real to what's not real, what's legit, what's not legit, what's, you know, how do we start categorizing each other or categorizing what we consider the best, you know, everybody. And we still seem to fall into, and this is obvious that it's been around for a long time, we seem to obviously stick to that whole thought pattern of, you know, my style, my way is the best way, and, you know, and it kind of shocks me to have that mindset is still around, especially when so many of the greatest of martial artists, you know, and that it can also be, I guess all that can be argued as well. Bruce Lee, Sonny Emperado, Aldo Cruz, Aldo Koskis, Ed Parker, Chuck Norris, Mike Stone. Let's see, we got all sorts. Joe Louis. There's so many on. Yeah, you know, Benny Uqueres, Don Wilson, Kathy Long, Cynthia Rothrick, and all these different. There's so many different pioneers out there that they never stuck to one simple style of martial arts. So obviously they just don't agree that one style that's the best style. I don't think anyone believes that in reality. And some of these guys are the great forerunners of martial arts that's out there that we know of, that, you know, for Western martial arts that we know of, that's been out there, that has really been pumping that out there. And so I just kind of find it weird that a lot of people, you know, you have to have legitimate tournament fights to consider yourself a good fighter, yet I don't see how that doesn't constitute, but yet because you've had street fights, that doesn't count. Even if it's against another fighter, none of that matters, even though that's when it should matter the most. You know, being able to survive someone mugging you or having a gun in your face or a knife in your face, that should count. Well, where's the police reports? Where's this? Where's that? Have you ever thought that some of us maybe not had very savory lives? That maybe there was no police report made, or like on either side. It's not like anyone was jumping up and going, "Hey, we need to make a police report about this." Not everybody's a law-abiding citizen when it comes to that kind of thing. So I just don't understand why that has to be the center of controversy. Now, that's why I'm saying you have to be very self-reliant. Because there's going to be people out there that are going to deny you're legit no matter what you do. Everything you do is up for debate. You know, you can give them all the paperwork you need, all the certificates you've had, all that stuff. You could do all that stuff and people will still hate on you about what you have or haven't done. My pup there. That what are we really looking for? What's really what we have to do? Well, you're going to have to be very self-reliant and honest about. This is one thing that I continue to say in a lot of my videos: is be honest about your training. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with others. Never claim to be something that you're not. You know, if you haven't fought in MMA, don't claim to be an MMA fighter. If you're not former military, don't claim to be former military. If you're not in law enforcement or never worked with law enforcement, don't claim that. And that's because that bothers me, because it's like you're trying to get accolades from a group or people who are looking to that, and instead you could be endangering these people because of the lack of actual knowledge and lack of actual skill of what you're actually teaching. So you should be careful of what you're doing. Now, does that mean I don't believe you can't? No, you can get these skill sets. I don't believe that you have to absolutely know the policies and procedures of every military aspect or every police aspect before you realize that you can teach police or military. I don't believe that, because you're just teaching them skill sets you have that they obviously just don't. And that's it. You're saying, hey, you guys know the policy procedure, but when the time comes, let me show you what to do. Let me give you the skill sets to survive. Same with a fighter. I may never been in the ring, but I do understand timing. I do understand power generation. I do understand coming off angle. I do understand takedowns, and I apply them when I spar with my when I spar with friends, my students, my friends that are in martial arts themselves, the people around me. Who do I do this with? Are you doing it at all? And see, that's another thing. That's where your honesty of your training has to come in. But being honest with your training, being honest with yourself of what you can do, and cannot do. That's the important part. And this is why I kind of have a little bit of a problem with how people critique certain videos. I know how hard it is to make a video and actually showcase what you're doing in the correct aspect. I can show something on a video, but because of the angle of the video, because of the fact that I'm limited with how high the quality is on my camera, to where the fact that it's stationary and propped up, and whatever the angle of it, and because of the limited room that I have, it's a little bit difficult to showcase every aspect at the perfect angle. In a class, they are seeing it for themselves, and this is why I think that video training you have to be very careful with, and listen, watch, and rewatch, and take notes, and really understand what they're trying to say when you're doing it. Like, really write it down and really figure it out. But that's another topic. And then but actually figuring out what they're doing. Like, I can show that a simple line. Like, if a gun is pointed here, I know that I can step to the outside of that arm quickly, having my hands in a position to where I can grab the wrist now and the gun. I got 2 points of control. I step, move, and I'm out of the way of that gun. And not only have I pushed that gun out of the way, I've actually got the barrel upward. And not only have it upward, if it does go off, it's not near my ear. And even though it's gonna be loud, it will fire, and I can still be able to handle it and fight, and it'll fire off. If you understand what a firearm sounds like anyway, you should get in and figure that out. And it'll fire off away from me, but it also will fire off away from others. Because there's a lot of times that people just will push that gun, and if it goes off, which a lot of times it will still go off, if it goes off, if I go like this and I'm near my friend and I just step and I do this, it fires, shoots my friend, he drops, my wife, my kid, whatever it is. Now I got a problem. Now it's like, oh no, what did I do? But you don't see that actual deflection of the gun, unless I had like the operating of where you could see the downward angle of the, get a camera facing down so you can see the difference. Because sometimes it's a subtle difference that you can't see on a two-dimensional screen. You can't check it out. And then these guys really criticize, wow, that'd get you killed, and and they have no faith in whatever's happening. Now, looking at it and saying, I don't know, I hope this is a bad angle, I hope this is an incomplete, like, I'm taking this total video out of context. Like, does it look really shabby? Does it look really, that looks really dangerous? But you may not know anything of what he's taught at that moment, up to the point where he's just showing one part of the motion of the takeaway or anything like that. Just be open-minded to it. Now, you can still leave your critique, but make sure it's a critique, not just you blasting. This guy sucks and blah, 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 blah. Okay. Well, it's like, oh, you don't even know that guy, man. You're just making an assumption. I mean, I've watched Anderson Silva, who, was the big time champ for a long time in UFC in the 180-pound division, was considered the best fighter at the time, was one of the biggest ones out there. I saw him doing some disarms, some knife disarms that made me almost cry. So it looked a little off. It looked a little rough, and it didn't look good. But doesn't mean it's not effective. Doesn't mean I'm not taking it out of context. Not really. I don't know. So you kind of have to go with it. And self-reliance is not saying, well, I am overly confident in the ability that I have, even though you don't have the ability. You have to have this skill set that you're promoting. If you do not have the skill set you're promoting, you probably shouldn't promote it. But all that said, you have the skill set, you've got the training, you understand what you're doing, you've had the experiences, whether it's in life or whether it's in competition, whatever the case might be, you have all the things that line you up, but people still don't believe in you. This happened to me, and unfortunately it burned some bridges. It just kind of ruined some friendships I had, and it still kind of breaks my heart about it, because it kind of upset me only because I considered them friends, and it killed me to watch them basically turn on me and say that I was this worthless person. I mean, that's how I felt. That's not the exact words. It's just that's how I felt, and it was really disheartening, and it really it broke my heart more than it actually did anything else. I mean, it made me frustrated, but then, and for a while, I was really upset about it, because these guys were my friends, and I know they were legitimate guys. I knew that they were good at what they did, but I knew that they caught flack for things. They caught flack for what they said. They've caught flack for just, because they've stood up for things, and people had questioned them a few times and things of that nature. And I stood behind them because I believed in them. And then for the falling out that we had, it was kind of disheartening, and it kind of broke my heart behind it. And it nearly just made me just say, forget all of this then. Then what's all this for? I don't know how come I'm trying so hard if I'm never going to be acknowledged or anything like that. And then I had to remember something. I never started this journey to ever be acknowledged. I didn't care. I've had these skill sets for a long time. I've had a lot of experiences in life, professionally, personally, a lot of things that have happened that I've applied my own stuff. I've actually had to go and deal with these situations. I've had to learn from different sources what really worked, because, I didn't win every fight that I got into when I was younger, but it wasn't until I started learning differently that I realized it's not the art, it's a problem. It was mine. It was my mindset, my application, and my understanding. And then that's when I decided that I needed to learn more and get better at what I was doing, and really, really, really go after it in a different way. So when that happens and you start going, oh, hey, look at that, I'm doing much better now, you really feel good about it. The only reason why I ever came out and tried to become legitimate was, let me put this out, legitimate, basically have an art that I could say, because it wasn't really an art that anyone, I guess you could say it's an art people are teaching, because everyone's teaching some sort of brand of martial art that everything looks a little familiar or a little similar nowadays. And I could have went through all these things, all these hoops, and got all these certifications or whatever the thing is, but I already had all this knowledge I needed. I just needed the backup to kind of start helping my family receive rank, because I wanted them. I wanted them to be seen in the martial arts community as legitimate more than me. I didn't care about me, because honestly, I don't care. I can fight. I have fought. I have, I've dealt different things. Me being a legit guy just never made it. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Because I had the reliance and confidence in myself that I already knew what I knew. I already did the things that I've done, and I'm good, But when I started teaching my son, my nephews, my niece, my children, and I was trying to work with them, and then I started teaching some people at my church, at one of my churches, and I was trying to do more for them. I really wanted them to be seen differently. I didn't want me to be that person. I didn't. I just needed the ranking just so I could help them out, really. And it's because I really I didn't care. I still don't. And after my falling out with my friends, I realized I had to really go back to that mentality. I really had to start relying on myself more, self-reliance and self-confidence, and I started trying to get accolades and pats on the back from everyone else to say that you're doing a good job and you are a great martial artist and you have these kind of abilities and blah, blah, blah. I really don't need it. And honestly, I really don't want it. I do what I do. If you don't believe me, I don't care. Until anyone is willing to just say, hey, you know what, let me talk to you, let's spar, let's train for a bit, let me see your legitimate training, whatever. Then you'll see. That's the thing. I don't need to prove myself. Anytime I've ever had to, quote, prove myself, it was just because I went to martial arts schools, martial arts classes, all that kind of stuff. And what I would do is I would train with them, and then they would see that, okay, well, he needs to go with our advanced class, and I'd work with their advanced class, and they'd realize, okay, he's actually, he has a little bit more knowledge than even our advanced class, and that's all it would be. It's not like I'd say, well, then give me an instructorship, man, right there. I need to have, you better put me in the head of the class. I didn't care. Because for me, it was just training. It was just getting my timing down. It was just getting the things that I needed for me, for my personal growth in. And I would take the students I had left, whether my niece, my nephew, my son, whatever the case might be, I would take him to do these things so that way he could test himself with other people in other ways. It wasn't to like, well, we're better than you. No, it was really honestly so we could pit ourselves against people who are really well trained, very good at what they did, so we wanted to be able to handle that, go through their training, see what they could do. And at the same time, just make ourselves better at what we did. So that's that. So when I talk about self-reliance, I'm not saying be ignorant and throw yourself out there as something that you're not. What I'm saying is be confident in what you know. If you know something, if you've been taught something, you've been trained something, you've been doing this a long time, whatever it is, don't look for accolades. Don't look for the pats on the back. You don't need anyone's. You know what you've been through. You know what you've done. You don't need anyone's approval. You don't need anyone's, whoa, hey, thumbs up, dude. You don't need all that. You don't need the coddling. Just be who you are. Just do what you do. But basically take your knowledge and just put that out there. The reason why I started YouTube videos is because, I watched Chosen Ninja videos and I thought, man, this guy's actually doing a great service. He's actually out there putting self-defense videos out there, and this is like, when YouTube was still kind of young and hadn't quite become what it is today. But here he is. He's putting his knowledge out there, and I was thinking, you know what? I think if anything, that's what I should do. I think I should do that because I really think that there's people out there that can't afford martial arts classes because they're really expensive. And I know that I hear this a lot especially from teachers, and of course they're going to say this. They own the schools. They say this, and I'll get into that with my dojo tips. But what they say is, well, if they really want to, they'll find a way. Sometimes that is the worst and most pathetic thing I've ever heard in my life. Because there are just times you have no way. Because it's like martial arts classes or pay my light bill. you're gonna need electricity, especially if you have families. Man, if I'm a single guy, I'm blowing my money on whatever I want. I'd probably be in several martial arts. I'd be in probably several martial arts schools today if I was a single man. Instead, it's like, nope, I got bills to pay, I got mouths to feed, I've got things that need to get taken care of, schools to be paid for. I don't need, for education purposes, for their future, not my skill sets. Don't feed me that line. Sometimes there are just things that are more important than a karate class. And I know some martial arts might eat me up for that. They might eat me alive on that one because they believe that is the way, it is everything. And I believe that if it was your bread and butter, if it's your job, I understand. I understand why you would want to believe that and why you do believe that, because it is your way of life. But it's not for the vast majority of the people in this world. And there's a lot of people out there that just can't afford 100, 150, 200 or whatever, how much you're paying a month to do so. Not everybody can. I'm not saying that there's people that are out there that can't. I'm just saying there's some people who cannot pay that. They just can't. That's not. They won't. It's not a factor of they don't want it enough. It's more of a they can't unless you want them breaking the law just so they can make the money to pay your bill. And then all that has gone out the window. Everything you want to teach them is out the window. Everything you want them to become, out the window. If you want them to become a thief just so they can pay for your dumb class. If you're I'm going to get off that because I was getting ready to do a tip and I didn't want to do that. The fact of the matter is you have to, I'm going to bring that back around. So I'm kind of got on a rant about certain things, but this is who I am, is to help people. I just want to help, and that's it. That's what I'm here for. I want to help people. I want people to learn certain skills that will help them in a self-defense situation, whether it's just because they see things differently, they're a little more aware, they're a little more they're like, oh, okay. That's why I don't mind certain channels, active self-protection, the ASP channel. I don't know if he has a channel on YouTube, but I know he definitely, but Funker Tactical. A lot of guys that talk about certain things in different spectrums. That's why I really appreciate certain channels that go further than just, going through a very fast demo of techniques and saying, that's your self-defense for today. It's got to be more than that, because people need to learn more than that. Awareness in itself needs to be a part of everything we do when it comes to self-defense. And that's what I'm trying to impart, is some sort of protection, some sort of stuff, okay? So I don't need people giving me pats on the back. I appreciate them when they do come in. Like I just had Richard from Richard Clark Ninja, or Wushu Richard, who just gave me a great accolade. He gave me this great thing, and I appreciate it. It was a very good compliment, and I appreciate that a lot. And I feel great when people do say such things. But I'm not looking for these things. I'm not in the slightest. And I recommend, as a martial artist and as someone that's out there that's just wanting to take care of business, you just want to do what you do. Be self-reliant. Don't let people pull you down. Don't allow the negative to get to you, and don't search out the positive. The positives are good. They'll be there if you're good at what you do. You'll get the positive. Okay? Don't worry about the positive. They'll just be there. But at the same time, don't worry about it, okay? Don't let the negative rip you down, okay? Because that also will be there. No matter what you do, no matter how good you are, no matter how solid of a martial artist you are, there is still going to be people out there who are going to hate on you. It's just, excuse me, it's just how it is. It's kind of the way social media has become. The biggest crybaby whiners can get on and say whatever they want, and it doesn't mean they even mean what they say. They just are complaining. And that's the facts. And then there's people who are going to support you and all that stuff, and that's the only people you need to That's the only people you need to gotta worry about it right there. Is the people that continue to say, I used what you told me, or you inspire me, or whatever their line is, whatever they tell you, whatever compliment they give you, take that, accept that, and know that, hey, I help someone. I don't care if it's the one person. One person, you can have 1,000 I don't care how many negatives you get. That one person is all it means. If I reached one person, some people say, well, then it was a waste of time. No, it's not, because I at least got that one person. I want that one person to know that this is still for them. Then that's who it's for. Then it's for that one person all the time. So, but be reliant upon yourself. Remember that you know you. You don't need anyone else to tell you anything. So respect yourself, love yourself, and ultimately remember to rely on yourself, and remember you don't need anyone else as long as you love you, and as long as you know who you are. You don't have to worry about anyone else. Okay? You're important. Remember those statements. Remember to stay honest, stay smart, and we'll keep talking about things later on. I'll see you guys Friday.